And welcome back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Gaynor Morgan. This is Henry Darby Cook. We're with Craig Lawton, the Conservative candidate for Swansea West, and Davies Morris from Cheers Wine Merchants. So we're going to have a relaxing final part of the show.
Yeah, the plan was going to be, we were going to ask for your advice for barbecue wines, but obviously with today's weather...
yeah, it's not so great today.
No.
But actually the red wine, purely by coincidence, is great for barbecues.
Awesome.
Which we'll get to later. But I want to talk about Spain today, Spanish wine. So when I normally mention Spain as in wine terms, most people instantly think Rioja, and quite rightly so. It's probably the most famous region from Spain, in northern Spain.
I didn't know that.
Didn't you? Well, it produces some of the finest wines from Spain, but equally dotted all the way around Spain are some phenomenal winemaking regions. So I've brought you two wines from lesser known regions to see what you think. So we're going to start off...
You've poured us some white.
Yes, a little bit further west of Rioja, a region called Rueda, which is about an hour north of Madrid, or maybe 2 hours north of Madrid, and a bit further west. Yeah, and it's
Spanish.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you all about it. But it's a white wine producing region. So Rioja is renowned predominantly for reds. Ribera del Duero is known for reds. Toro is known for reds, and in between those two regions, you've got Rueda, which produces some really good white wines, and specifically a wine from a great variety called Verdejo. So this is what we're going to taste today. Right. This is from a winery called Hacienda Zurita. It's quite an unusual name, but...
Hacienda is a small farm or something, isn't it? Yeah. Because again, this is all produce of small communities, and they're not farms, are they?
Well, no, it is wine farming. That's what they call it. It's wine farming, definitely. So this region was invested quite heavily by Rioja wine companies. They wanted somewhere they could produce really good white wine. So a lot of Rioja houses have gone and invested good money in Rueda to produce a white that I don't want to say will compete with Sauvignon Blanc, because that's not quite right, but to be along that style of a really fresh, dry, crisp, sort of mineral white wine, which is basically what you get. It's really nice and...
It is, yeah.
Nice citrus aromas.
Remember the name, I think. When you're wine tasting, you're supposed to spit it out, aren't you?
Absolutely.
I always think that's a terrible shame.
You don't want to waste too much.
So what would you advise
tiny amount
food-wise with this then?
So this is great with like a fresh salad, green salad, or a classic with like grilled fish, barbecue fish even, anything that's... Nothing with too much overpowering flavours, like nice, simple, clean, fresh food. It's, perfect partner for that.
Now, we're making great strides, aren't we, with Welsh wine, but certainly UK wines.
Absolutely, we were just discussing that.
How do they compare?
So we deal with a winery called Anchor Hill in Monmouth. They are the Welsh side of the border, they've assured us, but they do make some fantastic Welsh wines. They're renowned for their sparkling wine. It is superb.
We do that better, don't we?
Most of England and Wales, they're suited best to sparkling wine production at the moment. I think it will change. But their sparkling wine is phenomenal. They've actually sold out one of their wines until 2018. They won't have any more until next year. But this year, their Blanc de Blanc, I think, is being released at the end of this month, because they've run out of that as well. So that sort of shows the demand for it, which is great. And we love selling them. And we know the owners personally. They come down to us. We go up to them. In fact, their daughter lives in Mumbles, so I know her quite well. But they make some great wines, and I think Welsh and English wine will see a real sort of rise in popularity. Well, it is already, but even more so.
I suppose all these sort of wines, these boutique wineries, really, are they going to become more expensive with Brexit?
Unfortunately, more than likely. Yeah. I can't see any way around it, unfortunately.
That's going to be a problem, isn't it?
It's a massive problem for us already, We've been buying wine from Europe for years, and all of a sudden
it's already more expensive, I imagine.
Absolutely, yeah.
So should we talk about the pricing point of this for...
So this is under a tenner. Because we deal closely with the importers, we can sell this for under a tenner. And in fact, the red, we are the only people in the UK that sell that wine. We import that direct from the winery, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, that wine's even cheaper. That's $8.99. But that's because of the time.
I'm not sure I'd pay a tenner for a bottle of wine.
No?
No, I think it's quite a lot of money.
Depends how you drink it, maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a personal preference. Most people nowadays, we're seeing more and more people wanting to spend slightly more money on a wine that they know that are going to enjoy. Maybe less quality, less quantity, but
quality.
you know, invest in better quality.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't really guarantee a quality of a wine almost under £6 now a bottle. If you are buying wines under that price, you are.
Because the tax makes up.
Yeah, there's huge tax involved. Yeah.
Craig, you a wine man?
I don't mind a wine now and then. I have to say I'm a big fan of craft ale, but I do like wine. I did some wine tasting not long ago, and you mentioned Rioja and bean reds. Yeah. I'd never heard of a white Rioja before.
Oh yeah, they do make a limited.
I had a white Rioja, and that was lovely. It was so smooth. That was really good.
Okay, do you want to talk to us about this?
So
This is the red,
if we finish off the white, and we'll talk about the red.
I've got to drink all of that.
I've never been told to finish off a glass of wine before in my life.
It's gone past 12, it's fine.
I've got to go door knocking after this.
I'll pour you a tiny, tiny bit of red. So this, like I said, is from a winery called Finca Bacara, which we are the only people in the UK that sell this wine.
For what reason is that?
We discovered them, and we have a relationship with them that allows us to buy from them direct. No one else has
Do you travel
cottoned on.
around all these places sampling the
I'm
wine?
off to Spain next month.
It's a hard life, isn't it?
It's terrible. Yeah, so these are based southeast, so down near the holiday resorts in Spain. Directly inland from there, you've got a region called Jumilla, and it's very hot, and they produce some really good, rich red wines like this, perfect for barbecue. So the grape variety is called Monastrell, which is called Mourvèdre in France, and is usually used in blending in wines like...
That's the grape variety, is it?
It's called Monastrell in Spain and Mourvèdre in France, but they're exactly the same grape variety. And it's blended in things like Chateauneuf de Pape and, you know, more famous wines that people know. And the label's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to
so
work
the
it out.
label's very cool. So it's called Crazy Grapes. I don't know if you can see the label there. Yeah. And basically these little towers basically are to mimic the vines that the grapes grow on. They grow very low to the ground in tiny little clumps. I mean, out of season, you wouldn't think that anything could possibly grow on them, but they're kept low to stay out of the wind. And it gets very hot there, so anything that's too exposed gets burnt. So it's quite a cool place to visit. It's quite barren, but then you've got these lovely little vineyards tucked away in little enclaves, and they produce some of the just fantastic. I mean, a wine of this quality from elsewhere in the world would be a lot more expensive, but Jumilla as a region's relatively unknown, so they don't command quite as high a price. And there's some fantastic new producers. These guys are quite new, and they're quite innovative, and their labels are obviously quite funky, which you can see.
Yeah. Now, what's all this business? You know, you have white wine with fish and this sort of thing, and red wine. I mean, does it still hold? Is it snobbery, or does it?
No, it's absolute makes sense. I mean, more and more people are becoming adventurous with what they pair with food. And we do wine tastings for that reason. We've got one coming up in Café Toucan at the end of the month, within Café Toucan in SA1.
Right.
So we got a New Zealand winemaker over to do a dinner with 5 wines paired with 5 courses. So, you know, it's good to do that so customers can see why wines work.
What's the reasoning behind
wine is always a battle between sugar, fruit, acidity, and then you've got to offset that in food. You've got things like fattiness, flavour, spiciness. So you're basically trying to balance them up, that the wine will complement the food. So you can't have them that they battle with each other. It's quite tricky to do. What you ideally want is the food to match up with the wine and just sort of complement it. So that's what we try and do. Now, it is a very tough job. It is tricky, and it's not an exact science, because certain days food can be slightly hotter than you've remembered it, or the wine can taste slightly different.
So it's not as simple as white wine with fish and red wine with meat.
It's a good rule of thumb to start red wine with red meat, white wine with white fish. It's a great place to start. But yeah, don't take it as red. There's lots of other alternatives.
So in the final moments, just reconfirm the prices and where you are if people would...
So from Cheers Wine Merchants, you can come and buy the... Crazy Grapes from us for $8.99, which I think offers real good value for money. And
you're the only people in
we're the only people in the UK that sell that wine. Yes, you won't get it anywhere else. You can buy it online as well if you want from us. And then the Marcas de la Concordia Hacienda Zorita, which is a bit of a mouthful, Rueda, is $9.99. But again, I think we're the only people in Wales that sell it. Maybe somewhere else in the UK does. But, yeah.
I've learned a lot. I have some homework.
Thank you both.
Thank you very much. And because Craig is with us today, we have to look at the other candidates for Swansea West. So I think they're coming up on your screen now.
Thank you to all our guests today, and to all our viewers for watching us, especially those who've tuned in for our Talking Pictures Afternoon Matinee. Coming up next.